Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know I'm shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Hey, y'all. Happy 2024 and Happy New Year to you. Yes, honey, I've got on my PJ tops. Yes, I do. I have on my PJ tops because what? I was watching the Golden Globes at home. And so I did a little face for y'all because, I didn't want y'all to read me for not having a face on. But welcome. If this is your first time joining me, I am Carla Renata, the Curvy Film Critic, and you have tuned into the Curvy Critic with moi, Carla Renata. So what we do here is we do reviews about feature films and interviews with people above and below the line in the film industry. And today I have a plethora of interviews for you guys. I have, who do I have? I have the cast of Role Play for you. I have the director and one of the real life survivors from Society of Snow. And I also have the cast and director of the Book of Clarence. So we're going to get into all of that. But before we get into that, let's get into these Golden Globes. They just went off and they're re-airing right now. They were hosted by comedian Joe Coy. Oh, that's a horrible picture. Sorry about that. He hosted the Globes and he took some pot shots at some people. Let me come back on camera and talk about that for a second. He took some pot shots at some folks. He made a joke about he's Filipino and they call themselves honoring his culture by having sushi. He's like, I'm Filipino. We cook our fish. I was like, you're not right. You are not right for that. So that happened. And then what else went down? Um, he took some pot shots at Barry Keoghan. You know, he has a really infamous nude scene in Saltburn, and he made some penis jokes. So that was kind of like, ooh, okay, we doing that, we doing that. But let me go over these winners for you guys. For those of you who didn't have a chance to watch it, so let's just get in. They started out with the supporting players, and Davine Joy Randolph, one of my favorites and one of my Broadway babies, won Best Supporting Female Actor for a Motion Picture for her role as Mary Lamb in The Holdovers, which will pave the way for her to win a Oscar. Because as we know, usually whoever wins the Golden Globe traditionally goes on to win the Oscar. Right behind her was Emma Stone winning for Poor Things. Is this Emma Stone? Yes. Emma Stone won for Best Female Actor in a Motion Picture for Musical and Comedy for Poor Things. And then Robert Downey Jr. won Best Supporting Male Actor for his role in Oppenheimer. He was really, really good in that, you guys. He was so, 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 so good in that. And then Anatomy of a Fall took a couple of awards. Let me see if I can find it. Well, actually, let me go on. Let me move around the board a little bit. So, the winner for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, which is a new category that the Golden Globes added, went to Barbie, deservedly so. Christopher Nolan won Best Director for Motion Picture for Oppenheimer. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Greta Gerwig and that she would make history. I was really hoping for that, but that did not happen. But who did make history was Lily Gladstone for her role in Killers of the Flower Moon. Oppenheimer won Best Picture Drama. Anatomy of a Fall won Best Picture Non-English Language. And The Boy and the Heron won Best Animated Picture. And I think there's one more in here. I think that's all of them. I think that's all of them. Yeah. So I think that's all of them. Let me just double back and see. I talked about Anatomy of Fall. Yeah. So Anatomy of Fall won France Best Picture, and then it also won. It won two awards. I can't find the other one, but anyway, let me just read off the list, and I can tell you, go in and tell you what I thought was going to win and what actually won. And then we'll get into these interviews and these reviews real quick. So we're going to be on here all night because I know it's really late and a lot of you guys will watch this after the fact. So I actually thought I pretty much knew that Lily Gladstone was going to win just because the hype on her had been so much throughout the award season. Cillian Murphy won Best Actor for his role in Oppenheimer, but there was also a chance that Bradley Cooper would walk away with that. Paul Giamatti won for Best Musical or Comedy for The Holdover, so he and Divine Joy Randolph were the two winners from that film. Barbie, as I said, no, Poor Things actually won Best Musical Comedy. I said Oppenheimer won Best Motion Picture Drama. Taylor Swift was actually there for her Eras tour, but Barbie beat her out. So I was like, well, okay, that was something. We talked about screenplay. I thought screenplay was either going to go to Barbie or Past Lives, and it actually went another direction. I was like, okay, it went a completely different direction. And I'm going to tell you what direction it went in because I have all of these here and I didn't download all of them. So let me just see. Oh, I wanted to mention my boy Ludwig Göransson, who did the score for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We actually sat together at the Critics' Choice Awards last year. He won for his scoring of Oppenheimer. The best song was What Was I Made For from Barbie by Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas. Um, and let's see, what was the other one? I know I have Anatomy and Fall in here for something else. Anyway, Anatomy of a Fall won twice. And that was that. I am gonna have Around the Curve in here, but until I get to Around the Curve, let's get into some of these movie reviews. Let's get into Role Play first, shall we? So I went and did the junket for Role Play, which is a really cute film that's gonna hit Prime Video on January 12th. It stars David Oyelowo and Kaley Cuoco. It was so funny, and it really reminded me. It had like this Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of True Lives vibe to it. And basically what it's about is this. It is it's directed by Thomas Vincent, and it's written by Andrew Baldwin and Seth Owen. And it deals with Emma, who's played by Kaley. She has this wonderful husband who's played by David Oyelowo, and they have two kids and they live in the suburbs in New Jersey. She also has a secret life as an assassin for hire, and a secret that her husband discovers when the couple decides to spice up their marriage with a little role play one day. This film, it reminds me of so many different things, but this is what I love most about it. I love that it reminded me of True Lives and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I also love the fact that there was an interracial couple that this was centered around, and that was never mentioned. It was never made mention. It was like it was normal, and it should be normal, because a lot of times, too much attention is paid to those types of things. I loved that. I loved all the action sequences. I loved that Kaley Cuoco was kicking butt, and that this was a serious role for her, where she was playing a spy assassin, because we're used to seeing her be funny, and we're used to seeing David Oyelowo be super serious and not funny at all. So I really enjoyed watching them kind of switch roles to a certain extent, but I'll let them tell you more about it. So take a look and a listen to this interview with Kaley Cuoco and David Oyelowo about role play. Hi, you guys.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Listen, it's totally my pleasure to
Aw,
be here.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to congratulate you on your Golden Globe nom, bruh,
Awesome.
and your production company, and congratulations on your little nugget. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
I know he walked in today. I was like, there's like 100 things to congratulate you on. This guy's like on fire.
Right?
It's like, even just over the last 2 weeks, I'm like, what is he doing now?
Right?
How many freaking movies do you have coming
It all
out?
took 15 years to get
Well,
to this moment.
it's
you know.
impressive.
That's all right, but you're here now. That's all that
Impressive.
matters. Listen, did you guys ever see that movie True Lies? This
Oh,
reminds
yeah.
me a
Yeah,
lot of
we
True
talked
Lies.
about this.
Right?
We compare. We had a
Except
little
the
of that.
girl is the assassin instead of the guy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And this is a completely different lane for you. You get to be a little cheeky, a little funny, right?
Yeah.
How was that for you to do that? Because you're always so serious.
Yeah, no, that was the fun, to have the True Lies role reversal, and to also, to have the guy being the one who's a bit like, what's happening,
Yeah.
and then his wife needs to kind of come to his rescue because he's a bit clueless. And also for us as actors, Kaley is known more for her comedy, probably me more for my dramatic stuff. So to be more of the comic relief while she's a bit more of the straight guy in this was also a lot of fun. It was just a great time.
And Kaley, I know that you were pregnant while you were doing it.
Yes.
I think the first day of shooting you were
Literally
pregnant,
the first week, yes.
Girl, so how are you doing these stunts? Were you like falling through glass?
Well,
and
I was
stuff?
falling through glass. I didn't tell anybody. So no one knew. My stunt double knew, and my makeup artist knew. I told him halfway through because I was doing some weird stuff, and he was like, "What is wrong
I needed
with you?"
explanation.
Yeah.
For the behavior. I was like, what
I had
is
a
going
smell
on with
issue.
you?
I
Like,
just
oh,
couldn't
dear.
stop, and I finally
Yeah,
told
yeah,
him, and
yeah.
he cried. He was so
I
happy
did,
for me.
I did. Well,
Yeah.
I'm an emotional guy.
And he loves kids, so he's got a whole
I love
rod.
that.
I know. I didn't tell anybody, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because I feel like they wouldn't have let me do half the stuff that I did. So I had a blast doing it, and it's such a core memory that I will keep forever.
Because I was looking at you, especially the scenes where you're just like cold, hard stare.
I know.
I was like,
I know.
what? Like, I
yeah.
watched the film a second time once I read that, because I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute
Yeah,
now.
I know. Can you believe that? And it was that I was like, I told him a couple scenes where I watched back where I look like death's door.
There may have been a bit of nausea.
I mean, it was like one of these things. Basically, it was on a mental ship the entire 3 months we were shooting, or however long we were there. Yeah.
What was the most difficult day of shooting for both of you all?
Well, I tell you what, there's a moment where in the film where Kaley has to shoot me.
Oh.
And yeah, like, how do you even act being shot by your wife? I mean, that was a pretty
And we had to
intense.
be in a hug.
I saw that.
Yeah.
His arms were over.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it looked really cool, but definitely complicated in how we had to,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
shooting in that.
Just how you do it.
I'd say shooting in that forest could have been a little more fun.
Right.
Okay. I was like, I'm done with this
You
forest.
running through that forest.
I was done with that forest by the end. Okay. I
But
was
remember
done.
all those photographs we took of our horror movie?
We
were
did,
gonna
you
do?
know what? We did get good BTS,
Yeah,
so you know what?
yeah.
It was all worth it.
Yeah,
We got a
yeah.
lot of selfies out of that forest.
We did.
Just endless trees. Anywhere you went, another tree selfie. So I have to say though, as crazy as it was, it looked really cool on camera because it was such a weird space. It was literally this weird forest that was in the middle of nowhere. So it worked. It worked out.
And the other thing I want to address is I love that this story was an interracial couple, because usually when we see these kind of films, it's either two white people,
Sure.
or two black people,
Sure.
or two Latino people, Latino or Asian
Yeah.
people. How was it for y'all to just bring a whole new reality? I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened, but we're gonna try this again. Hi, you
Hey,
guys.
thank you for being here.
Listen, it's totally my pleasure to
Aw,
be here.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to congratulate you on your Golden Globe nom, bruh,
Awesome.
and your
Thank you.
production company, and congratulations on your little nugget.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes,
I know he walked in today. I was like, "There's like 100 things to congratulate you on." This guy's like on fire.
Right?
It's like even just over the last 2 weeks, I'm like, "What is he doing now?"
Right?
How many freaking movies do you have coming
It all
out?
took 15 years to get
Well,
to this moment.
it's
you know.
That's
impressive.
all right, but you're here now. That's all that
Impressive.
matters. Listen, did you guys ever see that movie True Lies? This
Oh,
reminds
yeah.
me a
Yeah,
lot of
we
True
talked
Lies.
about that,
right?
We compare. We had a
Except
little
the
of that.
girl is the assassin instead of the guy,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And this is a completely different lane for you. You get to be a little cheeky, a little funny, right?
Yeah.
How was that for you to do that? Because you're always so serious.
Yeah, no, that was the fun, you know, to have the True Lies role reversal, and to also, you know, to have the guy being the one who's a bit like, what's happening,
Yeah.
and then his wife needs to kind of come to his rescue because he's a bit clueless. And also for us as actors, you know, Kaley is known more for her comedy, probably me more for my dramatic stuff. So to be more of the comic relief while she's a bit more of the straight guy in this was also a lot of fun. It was just a great time.
And Kaley, I know that you were pregnant while you were doing it.
Yes.
Just, I think the first day of shooting, you were
Literally
pregnant,
the first week. Yes.
Girl, so how are you doing these stunts? Were you like falling through glass?
Well,
and
I was
stuff?
flying through guys. I didn't tell anybody. So no one knew. My stunt double knew and my makeup artist knew. I told him halfway through because I was doing some weird stuff and he was like, "What is wrong
I needed
with you?"
explanation.
Yeah.
For the behavior. I was like, what
I had
is
a
going
smell
on with
issue.
you?
I had
Like,
I
oh,
just couldn't
dear.
stop, and I finally
Yeah,
told
yeah,
him, and
yeah.
he cried. He was so happy for me.
I did. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I'm an emotional guy.
And he loves kids, so he's got a whole.
I love
rod.
that.
I know. I didn't tell anybody, and I'm so glad that I didn't because I feel like they wouldn't have let me do half the stuff that I did. So I had a blast doing it, and I'm such a core memory that I will keep forever.
Because I was looking at you, especially the scenes where you're just like cold, hard stare.
I know.
I was like,
I know.
what? Like, I
yeah.
watched the film a second time once I read that, because I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute
Yeah,
now.
I know. Can you believe that? And it was that I was like, I told him a couple scenes where I watched back where I look like death's door.
There may have been a bit of nausea.
I mean, it was like one of these things. Basically, it was on a mental ship the entire 3 months we were shooting, or however long we were there. Yeah.
What was the most difficult day of shooting for both of you all?
Well, I tell you what, there's a moment where in the film where Kaley has to shoot me.
Oh.
And yeah, that, like, how do you even act being shot by your wife? I mean, that was a pretty
And we had
intense.
to be in a hug.
I saw that.
Yeah.
His arms were over.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it looked really cool, but definitely complicated in how we had to,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
shooting in that.
Just how you do it.
I'd say shooting in that forest could have been a little more fun.
Right.
Okay. I was like, I'm done with this
You
forest.
running through that forest.
I was done with that forest by the end. Okay. I
But
was
remember
done.
all those photographs we took of our horror movie?
We
were
did,
gonna
you
do?
know what? We did get good BTS,
Yeah,
so you know what?
yeah.
It was all worth it.
Yeah,
We got a
yeah.
lot of selfies out of that forest.
We did.
Just endless trees. Anywhere you went, another tree selfie. So I have to say though, as crazy as it was, it looked really cool on camera because it was such a weird space. It was literally this weird forest that was in the middle of nowhere. So it worked out.
And the other thing I want to address is I love that this story was an interracial couple, because usually when we see these kind of films, it's either two white people or two black people or two Latino people, Latino or Asian people. How was it for y'all to just bring a whole new reality to that type of story? Because I've never seen that before.
Oh, I mean, look, that's my lived experience.
I know this.
My wife is white, and I just love the fact that it's not acknowledged in the film. You know, there are a lot of people who are living that reality, and so, you know, I love films that normalize those things that film has marginalized in a sense. And so to do it without even commenting on it, I think is kind of a beautiful thing.
No, and we just had our love chemistry from minute one, especially as buds, and I think it really worked on camera. It was just an immediate kinship with the two of us. I mean, truly, doing this film was a great experience. I'm so glad we got to do it, but the gift of it was actually getting to know him and his unbelievable family, and him getting to know mine, and we're totally like integrated in that way now forever, which is a big deal. Like, that's special to me.
Yeah.
Y'all are special to me.
Aww.
You are. I love both of you so very much. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Yes. Enjoy the bar outside.
Oh, honey.
Yeah.
You ain't said number one. You know I can stand a good cocktail. Thank you, Kaley and David. Love y'all, and I appreciate you so much. Let's talk a little bit about Society of Snow. Now, if you've ever heard of this film called Alive, then you're familiar with the story of Society of Snow. It deals with the 1972 flight. It was a Uruguayan flight that crashed in the remote heart of the Andes Mountains, and it forced the survivors to become each other's best hope. One of the people that survived that crash, his name is Roberto Canessa, and he is a real life surgeon. I think he's a heart surgeon now, but he's portrayed in the film by Matthias Ricault. And if you've seen Alive, it's not as graphic as Alive was, because Alive was super, super graphic, but this deals more with how Roberto and some of his friends made that decision to go, either we can stay here and die and freeze to death, or we can get to bouncing. So it's going to be on Netflix. It's streaming on Netflix right now. And I had an opportunity to speak with the director, J.A. Bayona, and to Robert Canessa. And I want you guys to go ahead and take a look and a listen to that interview. And then I'll come back and talk about the film some more. Again, it is called Society of Snow. And here we go. So can you speak to me a little bit about collaborating with your cinematographer and the guy who did your scoring?
I told Pedro, this is going to be like a documentary. We're going to forget about storyboards, forget about a shooting list. We're going to be there for the actors, very close to them, and try to capture the real emotions they went through. And with Michael, it was very interesting because we did something similar with its score. There's a lot of silence, and silence is very interesting because it's not telling the audience what to think about. It's the audience interpreting the story. And also you are not telling the audience how to feel, which makes it more interesting, you know, because they can participate and get their own idea of what they're watching.
That's why I asked you, because there are a lot of moments where there's a lot of silence, but I'm particularly interested in those first 10 or 15 minutes of the film where you do the actual crash. Mm-hmm. How did you accomplish that? Because watching bodies get flung and the sounds of the crunching of the metal and the limbs breaking, how long did it take you to shoot that sequence?
Actually, that was at the very end. It was a very long shoot, more than 140 days. But that was a very, 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 very late. The last thing we did. Because we wanted to focus in the characters, in the story, what happened in the mountain, and we knew that was going to be very technical. Mm-hmm. And we just followed the same methodology, which was to be very close to the characters. We did lots of interviews with the survivors. We did more than 50 hours of interviews. Mm-hmm. So it was about getting all the details, staying with them into that plane, and knowing exactly what they knew, which was very little. They didn't know what was happening. So that it becomes something very immersive because you are sitting with them. Basically, there are no shots, only like 3-4 shots from the outside of the plane. You are all the time with them. You don't know what's going on. And then one of the things that they told me that remember the accident almost like something very physical. And that's what we did in this moment at the end. That when they finally crash against the snow, the seats they reacted almost like an accordion, like crashing each. That was the worst moment of all. And we focus in the pain that they went through in that moment, in order to make the audience understand how big was the shock for them.
That moment was visceral for me, and it kind of lived in my brain for the remainder of the film, because knowing that I know this is a true story, and knowing that happened and that they come out of it on the other end okay, was like, that moment just lingers for me. So I really want to ask you.
One of the references for that scene? You will never guess that.
Tell me.
The shower scene in Psycho.
What?
Because we're coming from this moment of anticipation, very long shots, you don't know what's going on, and suddenly is this moment of chak, 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 chak. And I wanted to make the audience feel the same, And I was trying to explain Pedro Luque, the cinematographer, how I felt it, and then I said, it's like the shower in Psycho. It's like chak, chak, and it's so long, because that's exactly the feeling that they went through, that it never ends. They were like into that plane. They were crashing, and it had this impression that it never ended. And it reminded me that moment in Psycho, like ta 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 ta.
You know what other moment struck me too is the moment where they're being showered and you watch the grime and the dirt roll down the sink. I loved that so much, because it was the cleansing of their bodies, but it was a cleansing of that moment. I really love that you did
and
that.
there is a detail. It's a shot with two guys in the shower.
Yes.
That can tell you the kind of physical connection that they have. So you see the two guys in the shower, and one of them is trying to get the stain, and he cannot, which is a way of telling the audience this stain is going to be there forever.
Absolutely. Well, I have a stain in my heart forever from watching that, because I'm traumatized, but in the best, most beautiful way possible. Thank you so very much for your artistry and for giving us this film. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You're
it means
welcome.
a world. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I feel like it's about the indomitable human spirit and faith, right? And so, knowing what you know now, would you have lived your life differently after having gone through that experience?
Of course. I think that I value people like the shepherd, that he left everything to help me. How many times you find in society people that would help you without interest? So I live in a more grateful way of life, because I had a chance other people didn't have.
I love that. What made you go into, you're a cardiologist, right?
Pediatric cardiology.
Yeah, my mother is a nurse. So, she's retired now, but she was a nurse for many, many years, for over 50 years, I want to say. So what made you want to be a cardiologist?
Well, my father was a cardiologist, and I had the gate open to go through. And then when I went to adult cardiology, I saw that people had all their rotten coronaries, and they were all into pieces. And children were everything new. You just fix the part, and the kid goes along. Pediatric cardiology is fascinating. And then we went into fetal cardiology. And before the child is born, you know who's the surgeon that is going to do the appropriate surgery. And this is something that the Andes Mountains made me, because I got so many friends being so popular that I can phone whatever in St. Louis, pediatric cardiology, and then I will have a good surgeon to help me. This is the mountain.
You have such a beautiful spirit. You're so full of life, and you are just pure joy. You really are. You are just pure joy. What did you feel when you saw this film?
I felt I was back there.
Yeah.
I was seeing my friends again. It was like a miracle of life to be there talking with them and seeing them around, and missing that could have done things so differently than what we did with a Monday newspaper, as you say. You know what's the name of the lottery, and this happens a lot in life. You don't know which way to go, but you must go some way. And we went through the wrong side, and we did it. So it's maybe not so important to have the best answers, but to choose an appropriate one, the ones that your brain tells you, but also hear to your heart.
What did your brain tell you while you were in the process of trying to get help? What did your brain, because it was cold, y'all were hungry, you were dirty, you needed a bath, you know what I mean? What was going through your mind in that moment where you were like, I don't know, I don't know if I can do this. What triggered your brain to go, you know what, I have to?
Was that I look at the other guys, they were into pieces, and I say, in this group, I'm the only one that can score the try. So Roberto, don't look at your advantage. Look at that you were chosen to go and to go for it. And I said, what the heck? Instead of dying here by the fuselage full of pee and full of dead people and parts and everything, I will die in the virgin snow. And this is what, if I have to die, I will die lots better than here. But maybe I won't die. I will have the chance.
Well, you've had more than a chance. And I'm so glad that I had a chance to talk to you. You bring tears to my eyes. You really do. You're a beautiful, beautiful soul. And I'm glad that the universe saw fit to keep you here just a little while longer.
You deserve it. You have also the same heart as I have.
Oh, God. I can't take it. Cut! Oh, thank you so much.
My dear. You smell so well.
When I tell you Roberto Canessa renewed my faith in humanity, we are living in such turbulent times where people can be so nasty and so mean for no apparently good reason. And to meet this man who has gone through insurmountable odds just to survive and live a life that has obviously been well lived, is saying something. So thank you, Roberto. Thank you, J.O. Bayona. Check out Society of Snow on Netflix, y'all. It is about the indomitable spirit of human beings when they decide that they want and deserve more with the life that they've been given. So having said that, I usually get into at the beginning of the show what I did the week before, or what I had been doing while I was running around and doing all the things. But I went to Film Independent has been very good to me. Film Independent is the entity that sponsors and produces the Spirit Awards. And so I did the red carpet for them yesterday and spoke with a plethora of the film's stars. And then I was present for the ceremony in which two of the recipients received a $25,000 award, and there they are there. But and I think, and there they are there, Monique and Monica, along with the host, Coleman Domingo and Lily Gladstone, and the directors and co-directors of the Film Independent Spirit Awards, Josh and Brenda. Brenda's on the far left, Josh is on the far right. I put together a little reel for you guys about that carpet where we had a little fun. But before I get into that, let's get into some of these comments that my boy Brandon left me, because he always comes and says hello to me. So he says he can't wait to see the first movie of the year, Kung Fu Panda 4. And he also cannot wait for the animated movies that are set to come out this year. Me too, Brandon, me too. And thank you again for always stopping by and giving me a little love. All right, so here is that little preview of the Independent Spirit Awards. And when we come out of that, we'll go right into Around the Curve.
Hey, girl. Hey, curvy sister. I showed you curves today, look. So, Court, this has been a journey for you, brother. You at the Spirit Awards. How are you feeling right now?
Thrilled. I mean, it's such an honor to be here with so many people that I've admired over the years, and amongst some work that I just really think is really profound and moving. So it's a dream come true.
Are you excited to run into anybody here today?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Jeffrey because I haven't seen Jeffrey in a minute. I always like hanging out with Erica. I just met I believe his name is Matthias from Passages. Love that movie. Love his work in that movie.
You know, I waited a long time to lead a project. You know, I've been supporting a lot. I've been acting since I was 15 years old. Been doing TV and film for 10 years. Some people only know me from Swarm, some from Project Power, which was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago now. So I've been doing it for a really long time. To finally get my first opportunity to lead, for it to be a character that that allowed me to play multiple different versions of the same girl in one show and one opportunity was it was the role of a lifetime, and I'm so grateful. And so to be celebrated here tonight, or to be honored, is really special.
I love you.
This means so much. I love you. Someone an inspiration. We already got a friendship, but two sisters here with me mean so much. We gotta work together.
I think what matters to me is just the way that the movie has connected with people. So even shortly after production, just like in the ways that some of the crew or just people that like just know the story, like just knowing that it connected people in a personal way, or that they saw themselves in these characters. I think that's what has continued to nourish me along this journey, not only making the film and being anchored on why I was making it, but just feeling like who I made it for, like that it was successful. That the movie was successful in reaching people, whether they connected to these characters or feel closer to strangers because they understand their experience better.
Like you, which let me know that you have to be a fantabulously, wonderfully kind person to pull that off.
I appreciate it. I like to think of myself, I try to be a kind person in real life, which is why it's really nice to play diabolical people on camera, because I get to let that side out of me, without having to do it in my real life.
What does it mean to get this nomination for a Spirit Award?
That's wonderful. I mean, it's a bit surreal. I'm used to being surrounded by my cast and having other people around me that I can kind of hide behind. I can't hide behind anybody now, so I have to kind of embrace it. It's lovely. I mean, it's you just want to have an impact as an artist. You want to have an impact, and this is just another sign that maybe what I'm doing is having an impact. So that's the most meaningful thing about it to me.
Thank you so much for stopping and talking to me. I'm looking at you, and all I can see is your character in the film. You did that. I think you were one of the most underrated actresses in Hollywood. There's so much depth and breadth to everything that you do. So I just want to, don't you start crying on me. I just want to know.
You're making me emotional because I've also, you've been in my sphere of awareness since the beginning of my career. So it means, it's one thing when somebody compliments you in general, but when somebody knows of your person / your worth and says that, it is different. So I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you, sis. I really do. Now, how excited are you to be nominated for an Independent Spirit Award, and who are you most excited to see today?
I'm very excited. I think this is such a beautiful award show, and I love these people and what they're about, and I love this one because this is one that covers all the bases. You know what I mean? It maybe some people haven't gotten it in other areas. These people and their taste, quite honest, will be sure to cover them. So I am really happy certain people who I haven't been seeing as regularly in this circuit, I'm the most excited to see, like Tracy Set, for example.
Yes, she just came through.
She's a force. She is a beast. And I'm so happy that they got it and that they nominated her as she rightfully deserves.
But so do you. So do you. You know this. Go on and do these other interviews, because I can sit here and talk to you all day. You know how we roll.
I love you so much. Thank you, truly. Seriously. Cameron off camera. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank
you guys, that is it for the 2024 Spirit Award nominee brunch red carpet. Please stay tuned for the show when it airs on television. I'll let you know when that date is, sometime in February. Take care. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Hey, let's take a trip around the curve. From writer Tracy Oliver, Harlem is a comedy following four best friends in the mecca of black culture in America. Harlem, NYC, baby. Starring Megan Good has been renewed for season 3. MGM Plus acquires In Restless Dreams the music of Paul Simon and airs as a 2-part docuseries on March 17th and 24th. The Publicist of International Cinematographers Guild has announced the nominees for the Maxwell Weinberg Award for Television Publicity Campaign winner will be announced on March 8th. Equity Jennifer Lopez movie Unstoppable returns to filming next week. Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale have joined the cast. 3 feature films from Disney and Pixar will hit the big screen nationwide for the first time ever in 2024. Tickets go on sale January 2nd. Alicia Keys' musical Hell's Kitchen is Broadway bound with a spring opening. Bramorama acquires A Storm Foretold, the Roger Stone doc containing explosive footage that wound up in the middle of the January 6th investigation. Warner Brothers Discovery welcomes WB Animation and Cartoon Network production workers unionization. Plan B launches new micro-budget film finance initiative led by Caddy Vanna Circle. The first pick is Fernando Mbicki's Almo. Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia's $7 Productions board Nacelles RoboForce animated series. Jamie Lee and Nikki Glazer comedy series Unsettling is in works at Amazon from Asim Batra, Bill Lawrence, and Warner Brothers TV. Gary Ross is set to direct Old Time Hockey for Skydance Sports, and MGM Plus's Emperor of Ocean Park series cast Grantham Coleman in the lead role. Tiffany Mack and Paulina Lule also starred. John Patton Ford writing to direct Netflix drama on Union Spy, whose hijacking of Confederate locomotive hastens Civil War's end. Uncle Fester's Wednesday gets a spinoff in the works at Netflix. Dana Brown's memoir Dilettante is in the works as scripted series from Berlante Productions and Warner Brothers TV. Octavia Spencer, Hannah Waddingham are set to star in a new Prime Video series from Tessa Coates. Molly Parker is set to headline the Fox drama series Doc, and Maria Anguilova promoted to Global Head of Corporate Development for Sony Pictures Entertainment. Eric Moreno segues to a new role. Charles D. King is set to receive the 2024 PGA Milestone Award. DreamWorks Animation's The Wild Robot is bringing to life as early as fall 2024 in the box office. Ben Stiller is set to star in Nutcrackers for David Gordon Green and will also produce through Red Hour. Neon is releasing Jake Johnson's feature directorial debut Self-Reliance for one night in theaters on January 3rd before the Pic's January 12th streaming date on Hulu. Cynthia Erivo and Elia Shawat star in Anthony Chen's powerful drama Drift. Sony Pictures Classic acquires the rights to Amelie and sets a nationwide theatrical release reissue for February 14th. Chris Pine's comedy Pool Man lands at Vertical, and Apple Original Films set the Martin Scorsese-directed Critics' Choice and Golden Globe Award-nominated Killers of the Flower Moon to begin streaming globally on Apple TV Friday, January 12th. Nicole Scherzinger is confirmed to make her Broadway debut as Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard. Hotel Cocaine cast Tanya Watson, Karina Bailey, and Laura Gordon as production resumes on the MGM Plus series. Topher Gray and Michelle Dockery join Mark Wahlberg in the Mel Gibson-helmed Lionsgate thriller Flight Risk. Kiwi Kwan is set for uni actioner with Love from 87 North. Bridgerton breakout Simone Ashley is set to topline the indie thriller This Tempting Madness. Samuel L. Jackson boards Peacock's Muhammad Ali limited series Fight Night. Battlestar Galactica reboot from Sam Ismail taps the center creator Derek Simmons as showrunner. Now in awards news. Golden Globes voters threatened to boycott after being excluded from the ceremony. More than 60 voters say they won't cast final ballots to protest their loss of tickets to the awards show. The show went on tonight, and I'll have that news later. Martin Scorsese, Emma Stone, Carey Mulligan, and more were celebrated in the acting categories for the 35th annual Santa Barbara International Film Festival. Jeffrey Wright is set to receive the 39th annual Santa Barbara International Film Festival Montecito Award on Thursday, February 15th in 2024. The Last of Us dominated the first night of the 75th Primetime Creative Arts Emmys. Those 8 Emmys were twice as many as The White Lotus, The Bear, and Wednesday, which were runners-up on the first 2 nights during which the majority of the Emmys were handed out. The second Creative Arts show will take place on Sunday, January 7th, while the 75th Primetime Emmy Awards airs on January 15th. Peacock wins its first ever Primetime Emmy Award, with Judith Light winning Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series. Jasmine Guy wins for Actress in a Short Form or Drama Series. Tim Robinson wins for Actor in a Short Form Comedy or Drama Series for I Think You Should Leave. Nick Offerman wins for Guest Actor in a Drama Series for The Last of Us. And Storm Reed wins for Best Guest Actress in a Drama Series for Succession. More than 1,400 WGA members demand that the Emmys air the Comedy/Writing Variety Awards. WGA's West and East presidents also call on the TV Academy to meet with them about the issue. The Costume Designers Guild has fashioned the nominees for the 2024 awards. The top grossing live action films of the year, Barbie and Oppenheimer, will vie in the marquee excellence in sci-fi, fantasy, and period categories, respectfully, along with such awards season's favorites as Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, Maestro, May December, Saltburn, and others. David Tennant is set to host the 2024 BAFTA Film Awards. Past Lives wins the Best Film Award from the National Society of Film Critics. Sorrell, Monique Walton, Seth Hernandez win the Indie Spirit Award Emerging Filmmaker Awards. The $25,000 grants were handed out during the Independent Spirit Awards nominees brunch over the weekend. Tonight on The Curvy Film Critic with Carla Renata, I have interviews with the director and real-life survivor of Society of Snow, which is streaming now on Netflix. I'll also have the stars of Role Play, Kaley, Cuoco, and David Oyelowo, and I will have the director and cast of The Book of Clarence, starring Lakeith Stanfield. All that and more coming up right now. And coming up right now is my review of The Book of Clarence. So The Book of Clarence will be in theaters by virtue of TriStar and Legendary Pictures on January 12th. It is directed, written, and scored by Jeymes Samuels, the same person who brought you The Harder They Fall on Netflix a few years ago. It's also being produced by Sean J.Z. Carter, James Lassiter, and Tendo Nagenda. The cast includes Lakeith Stanfield, Omar Sy, Anna Diop, R.J. Kyler, David Oyelowo, Michael Ward, Alfre Woodard, Tiana Taylor, Caleb McLaughlin, Eric Kofi Abreva, Marianne Jean-Baptiste with James McAvoy and Benedict Cumberbatch. So this is the gist of this film. It's inspired by those vintage Hollywood epics like, the Ten Commandments and things like that, right? And it depicts the story of Clarence, a down on his luck Jerusalemite who foolishly attempts to profit off of the Messiah's increasing fame and power for his own gain. So you're probably going, what is the point of this? Captivated by the power and glory of the rising Messiah, his apostles, Clarence risked everything to carve his own path to a divine life and ultimately discovers that the redemptive power of belief may be his only way out. Now, it's true that Clarence is indeed not a book in the Bible. So don't be going through your Bible looking for the Book of Clarence. It ain't there. But for Jeymes Samuel, that is, the Book of Clarence was very real. And this brief line of dialogue that went mostly unnoticed at the time was his way of telling the world that the Book of Clarence would indeed come to exist. It felt like if Jeymes Samuels was a Black Mel Brooks, it felt like this had the comedy bite of Blazing Saddles and the producers mixed with The Last Temptation of Christ and the Ten Commandments is what it felt like to me. Just like in The Harder They Fall, Jeymes has a signature dancer who's dressed in blue. I think this time it may have been, the actual dancer may have been Fatima Robinson, who is the choreographer of The Color Purple, and she also did the choreography for the Book of Clarence. She's brilliant. The locations in Nazareth for this film are really close to the real thing. I love the use of aerial drones for some of the shots. The composing and the original score that Jeymes Samuel did, I really liked. And I really liked that they dedicated the film to Regina King's son, Ian, who died by suicide earlier in 2023. It's broken down into various books 1, 2, and 3. So the first book is The 13th Apostle. It's got insane camera angles. Lakeith is on this cross as Jesus. The soundtrack is blackety black, 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 but intense in stark contrast to walking through the gypsy territory with a slight 70s vibe with the feel and the sound. Mary is a badass like Grace Jones on a horse played by Tiana Taylor. Lakeith is playing dual roles as his brother with the Jesus of Nazareth. And knowledge is stronger than belief. Knowledge is stronger than belief is the core message of this film, because what you know to be true can sometimes be stronger than what you believe to be true. That is the message of the Book of Clarence.
I also liked, they did this dance break in book 2, which was called The New Messiah. They did this whole dance break to Nights Over Egypt, which was like a Soul Train line kind of thing. It kind of made me chuckle that there was like a Black Soul Train line in biblical times. It just made me laugh out loud. The kitschiness of the lines, there's it during the book 3, right before the crucifixion, somebody says, I don't even like Mary's cooking. Oh, it's Judas, when they're acute saying that Judas is going to betray somebody, and they're like, the person that is the betrayer is the one who dips the bread in the gravy. And Judas is like, I don't even like Mary's cooking. She uses too much garlic at the Last Supper. I hollered out loud. Benedict Cumberbatch as Jesus is pure comedy, skipping through the streets. Made me laugh out loud. But I will stop talking about it, and I'll let Jeymes and Lakeith tell you more about this film. So again, it's called The Book of Clarence. It stars Lakeith Stanfield, and it is directed by Jeymes Samuels. Here we go. I really appreciate with this film how you took that kind of Mel Brooks approach. It's like Blazing Saddles meets The Last Temptation of Christ kind of thing happening. And having said that, I know that you two have worked together before. This is your second time working together.
Yeah.
Because he pays such close attention to detail, how does that work for both of you as a director and as an actor, bringing this story to the screen?
I think, Jeymes has a rare ability to hold many variables in his head at once. He doesn't seem to forget very often. So I think that is part of what lends to the beauty of having direction and aim and visualization about where we're going. And also having a rhythm to where we're going. When you often shoot out a sequence, if you have someone that's really prepared and they know the story like the back of their hand, no matter where we go, I would often consult him about what exact point we are in the story and what the focus should be at that point. It was easy to do because he knew it so well. And he's also just a great communicator, so it makes it easy. And he communicates in a way where even if you're in the way on the other side of set, you're going to hear him. And it's amazing.
I know this.
And it's amazing, and I love it. And it really lends to creating an environment that feels like I can trust. And then I know the information I'm getting from him is going to be exactly what I need. And so, yeah, it's amazing in that way.
And what about you collaborating with Lakeith?
Collaborating with Lakeith is like breathing air. It's like collaborating with there's so many times I would walk up to him and I might make not even a suggestion, an observation, and you'd say, you need to get out of my head. I was thinking the same thing. It would just be moves, and it was just it was literally meant to be. The things that I would do naturally that I'll infuse into Clarence. Lakeith speaks that language. There's nowhere I could go. Also, he's a musician. So there's nowhere I would go. Music, like a lot of the beats that we do are musical. When you are talking to John the Baptist and you do a long and he leans back. With Lakeith, it's almost like I don't have I honestly mean this, I've never said this to you. I don't have an actor, I have a co-composer. And we are literally there composing, and while we're doing it, laughing our heads off or crying our eyes out. Right, at both. That's the difference between this film and Blazing Saddles. So we'll give you joyous moments. This film's The Hood. We'll give you joyful moments. Then you'll cry your eyes out. But with Lakeith, I have a co-composer, and we just compose the whole thing together.
Speaking of composing, talk to me about composing and working together for that final scene, the one with the cross.
That was an amazing thing because we shot that scene first, like the crucifixion scene, and it was really it was really, really hard, but I was glad that we got that kind of out of the way, so we can just go into the rest of it like all smiles. Because for me, I was thinking like, wow, this is going to be a traumatizing scene to put like the nail into the cross and this stuff, and it was as hard as it looked.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? Because you were on that cross for a really long time.
Yeah. It's I've been in more comfortable places. But
I can only imagine.
Yeah, but it was a great obstacle to navigate, to be able to emote the things that Clarence was going through at the time while being quite cold and sort of hanging up on our hinges and I was sort of standing on this little plank and had like a bicycle seat that was angled in an interesting way. That it just didn't feel that comfortable. But at the end of the day, that even in that scene, there was a beautiful rhythm to it all. There was like, this and this. You saw the thing. I don't want to do too much, but like the rhythm of it definitely felt like it was musical in nature. I love that because that is actually my language. I love. I always count. There's always some sort of rhythm. There's a rhythm in life, and when you're in harmony, you feel it. There's also a rhythm in performance. It's like this happens, then this happens. The call, the response is the play. So having a rhythm in that is tantamount importance. If you don't have it, things aren't communicated the right way. So it just spoke to me. The way that he automatically sees things speaks to me. So I know what he means. He's like, okay, when this moment happens, this is, oh yeah, got it. Okay, boom, right there. Then it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, man. And it's gonna hit that every single time. Yeah. So it just made sense.
There was literally not one thing, not one day, not 1 second, not one moment where I was trying to communicate something, or I have an idea that you didn't get, or it was literally just like ping pong. Yeah. And also mad fun. In the freezing scenes, I'll play music in the background, and we was always playing music and always taking it there. It was just an amazing thing. I think the behind the scenes of this movie is the dopest behind the scenes for any movie you're ever going to watch in your life.
Okay, I'm gonna need that reel. I'm gonna need that reel.
So generous. Another line. Say another one. He would just let me say lines. Yeah. Go, something else. Just do something else. Do another one. Do another. So I was just able to like throw these lines out.
Yeah, you were going quite fun. I was like, how did your brain think? I got the cobblestones online. How do you think of this stuff? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing to be in the room with y'all and to talk to y'all about it. I see y'all got a Black Scorsese De Niro thing happening. Let's see some more of it.
Just a James and Lakeith thing happening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
They have an Italian James and Lakeith thing happening.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love them. My interview with RJ, Kyler, and Anna Diop will be up on my YouTube channel, and it will air closer to the date of the actual film release, which is January 12th. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Next week, I will have rebranded as I had promised for today, but child, between the interviews and the holidays, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little behind the curve. But again, let me just remind you of what we talked about. So I want you to see the Book of Clarence, which is going to be released on January 12th. Role Play, which is also going to be released January 12th via Prime Video. And The Society of Snow, which is currently streaming on Netflix. When I come back next week, we will be talking about all things Mean Girls, and I'll have a review of The Beekeeper. In addition to that, I will have an interview with Origin director Ava DuVernay. I will be talking about the predictions for the Critics' Choice Awards, which is taking place on January 14th. I will also be talking about Turner Classic Movies' 30th anniversary, which I will be attending on Friday night. And the Emmys are next weekend. So there's a lot going on, and we'll talk about all of it when I come back. I'll also, excuse me, let me come back on camera. I'm also going to be talking with my old friend, Christy Carlson Romano. She has a podcast called Vulnerable, and I will be her guest for that. So that does it for this edition of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. If you have not done so, give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. Click that bell for notifications if you are watching this via YouTube, if you're watching it via Twitter, or you're watching it via LinkedIn. Please give me a subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Come back and see me. You know how we do at The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. And I have come out of red carpet retirement, so I will have some more red carpet stuff. Sorry about the sound on that. My microphone was being funky, and the one that I had freaked out on me, so I had to go to my backup mic, which wasn't as great as the one I usually use. So there's that. All right, so having said all that, I will see y'all next time. Thank you, Brandon, for popping in as usual. I love you, love you, love you. Oh, let me show you these pictures. This is the picture from the cast of The Harder They Fall from opening night. And FYI, but not really, opening night, Beyonce was there to support her boo, Jay-Z. I love that. which is why they weren't trying to have any of us at the after party. They were like, yeah, no, you cannot go because Lady B is here. But anywho, love, peace, and hair grease, y'all. Until the next time. And deuces, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.